Right, here we are at the Nürburgring. This is without a doubt the most challenging track in GT Sport, Gran Turismo Sport. I'm playing it on the PlayStation and I spent the whole evening trying to crack this track. So this is the Audi TT Coupe race, and on the level, I think it's intermediate. And this is probably the fifth or sixth time I've been around the track this evening. And what I did a few races ago, or a few laps ago, is I went in and switched from what they call automatic transmission. I mean, I'm actually manually changing gears, but for some reason there's a thing called automatic transmission, and then they have this setting where you can actually fine-tune the gears. Once I did that, this car really came alive, and I definitely recommend it if you want to beat this particular race, to make that change. Whoa, high speed overtake there. So in this particular setup, it's with a medium amount of skill you can get to second place, but what I found really difficult was to get to first place, because basically the leader, he just disappears. He disappears from everyone else, and after about 3/4 of the race you can crack second place, but then it's a mission to get the leader. It's certainly not a perfect lap, and it's also not too much clean driving. In fact, here I'm going to go off the track. I managed to stop it from spinning, get back on, just lose one place. I have a lot of difficulty with this white and green car which I'm passing now. He seems to be my arch nemesis. He's always catching up to me and proves quite difficult to pass. So I have no idea, I didn't know this track very well at all. I just know that this next corner can be quite tricky, and I sort of overcompensate for it there, and I managed to keep it together and go off again. So you would think this is a throwaway lap, but I won't spoil it. At the end it sort of comes together for me. Spent the whole evening trying to do this. This part is sort of like the first place you get to kind of relax a bit. There's all these caravans on the left. I've actually been to the Nürburgring and I've seen the Nordschleife, which is this big long track, and I watched the World Superbike race on the short circuit. It was in the year where Karel Crutchlow was Supersport champion. I actually met him and got a photo with him on that day. I think actually though Johnny Ray was the one who was, although yeah, different leagues, but Johnny Ray was doing really well. So here I'm actually doing really well, because I normally overtake this black car on the next hairpin left, but I get him quite nicely here. Now there's traffic coming up ahead, and there's quite a difficult little section here, but a lot of people tend to crash, and you can usually go past one or two here. I get past two in that S. And it's funny the way there's so much graffiti on this track. I didn't know that, actually. People go out there and graffiti it. Right, I'm going a bit too hot, but luckily there's a concrete, almost a berm here, which I like to ride. Now this little corner here, you can actually usually get one or two guys on the brakes. There I was too far back, but I got them slightly after the corner. Now this is second place ahead of me here, and it's quite a difficult thing to overtake here. I actually get him quite early, because after this it becomes really difficult. Ooh, force him off track a bit there. And then I go in too hot here and hit the barrier, so he's going to take second back. I must admit this section is really confusing to me. I haven't learned it well enough. Exactly that last corner gets me almost every time. Now this is the section where it's quite difficult to overtake. Before I changed to this manual transmission, I had no power going up here, and I just followed the group. But now you can clearly see that I've got a slight boost over the other guys. I think I'm playing the game in the mode of boost. Other than that, I've got all assistance off. I mean, I've got no line indicators, I've got no braking indicators, I've got very little traction control. Oh, you can see it right there, level 2. ABS I think I've got as well. But I'm doing gears manually with the pedals on the steering wheel, so the flaps or whatever you call them on the steering wheel. I'm not doing clutch though, so I'm just basically doing pedals and brakes on the Thrustmaster T500 RS. So, where are we now? Oh, this is the whole little racetracky section with the carousel. There's one corner that I do know the name of because I watched a Top Gear episode with Sabine Schmitz. And interestingly, my time here is not so far off hers in a minivan. So she can do the minivan in about 10 minutes. As we'll see, I'm slightly under 9 minutes at the end of this. So I've got the leader in my sights, and I must admit I never had the leader in my sights this early in the race. So this is where I sort of get slightly hopeful that I might be able to catch him. Here we go. I don't know this part of the track at all. I don't know what corners are coming up. I just sort of hit the brakes on every corner. Like I hit the brakes there, probably didn't need to. Drift that one out a bit. Oh, sliding in and back and forth. And also these right-handers here going up the hill, I'm always worried. There's one of them that's really bad. It's not this one, but it's the one you see on YouTube with all the accidents, where people come around the right-hander and they almost always land in the dirt, in the sand trap. And I keep worrying that that's the one. I think it's possibly this one now coming up. Yeah, it's that one. No, it's not. That's not a sand trap. Hang on. See, there's so many corners in this track. It's almost I don't know. I'll probably have to spend years getting hold of it. Go off there. You can tell this is intermediate because I've still got him, even though I've been off the track a few times. But that guy is gunning it, and I must admit I couldn't go through here as fast as he does. I suspect this is the corner now. Yeah, look at that. You tend to end up in that gravel pit if you're not expecting it there. And I tend to expect it 3 corners early or 2 corners early, so losing a shed load of time here. I also was a bit too careful on that corner, braking too much in the corner, losing it. Okay, and now he's disappearing into the mist because he's just much faster than me through here. So I'm sort of anticipating a carousel coming up here, the second carousel, and completely bogged that one. Because I just don't know when this carousel's coming up. I thought it was. Oh, it is here. Okay, so we've got the second sort of carousel here, a little mini carousel, and he's disappearing into the distance. So at this point, I just sort of assume I'm not gonna reel him in. I'm not gonna catch him. It's funny. This must be an evening or a morning race. There's really low sun and a lot of mist. And I think we're getting to the main straight now. Yes, we are. This is the main straight. And I think I've got the racing setting on with a boost, which means that if you're not in the lead, you've got a slight boost. Sort of like TCS and... or what's it called? TCS in Formula 1? No, not TCS. Something else. DRS. Right, so now as you can see, I've sort of lined up my car with him in the assumption that I'll get some slip, and I actually managed to reel him in just before the bridge. I'm going to go off the gas slightly here because I've lost it on this corner several times, and now I've caught right up to him, and I've almost got him on the brakes here, but the problem is now again, I don't know the circuit here very well. I know there's a few little twisties, so I'm really hitting the brakes hard, and a little bit of dirty driving there. I sort of hit him, but we both lost it, so... yeah, here's the last corner, and I managed to take a really tight line, second gear, and as you can guess, beat him to the line. My goodness, I thought I would never manage this. I was so glad when it was over, because this track, when you have to do it again and again, eats up your time and your nerves. So I got the Japanese guy. And I'll now proceed to show my gear settings and my tire settings. I also went to medium tires. Settings, I went for the medium tires. By default, for some reason, you get hard tires. So I just thought I'd go for medium. Although I don't actually have tire wear, so I probably could have gone for soft and got a lot more grip. Now, the key setting was down here where I chose, instead of automatic transmission, I chose this fully customized thing. And what I played with fourth gear, I tried to make fourth gear a shorter gear because I ended up on the long uphill section in lower fifth and having no power. So I thought if I make fourth gear shorter, I'll hit fifth sooner. That could be complete nonsense. I don't really know what I'm doing. I would probably have to make fourth. Yeah, I just assumed the sooner I get out of fourth and into fifth, the better, and it certainly seemed to help.